G'day everybody, how you going today? It is so good to see you. I do hope that you are super well and a little bit cooler than I am. I am at the warehouse. I'm doing a little bit of printing, as we can see here, prints akimbo, as well as doing some organizing. So it's very hot and it's very dirty. 31 degrees, 31.2 degrees it says over there, which I'm guessing is somewhere between 80 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the latest news from around the web that I have found exciting / interesting. All right, we're going to start off with Nikon. Yes, indeed, they have dropped the Stealth. Oh my God, the Stealth ZFC. Or if we want it to rhyme a little bit better, the Stealth ZFC from Nikon. Yes, the Stealth edition is here. The interesting thing is, there's no changes with this other than the color and the fact that it's got a matching 40mm lens to go with it. Now this is cool. If you haven't bought yourself a ZFC yet, and you're thinking about getting maybe the coolest kit on the block, this could be the one for you. 6th, 7th, I think it's the 7th color that you now have to choose from. You can get a ZFC to suit your mood. Super exciting.
But wait. When it comes to colors, let's just hold it a sec. I was looking at Instagram and an ad came up from Nikon Australia. And wait a second, what WTF, we have now got 12 eye-catching colors plus black. And then you can have black on black. So that basically means 14 choices. Now, I don't know if this is just region specific at the moment, but all of these colors here on the right, these are all new. These have all come out of nowhere. Super exciting. I also read somewhere that you can contact Nikon and you can get the color of your camera changed. Now, I'm not sure if you have to send it in to do that or you can do it yourself, but the idea of being able to change color, I think, is pretty awesome. 14 variations in total, and perhaps it's possible to go with the black chassis and all of these colors as well, which would mean that we have 26 variables. I think that's what that would mean. That's a lot of variables. Does any other mirrorless camera manufacturer do this? Do they have a mirrorless camera with this many variables? Let me know in the comments. This is nuts.
Now, does this mean we're going to see any more cameras in 2022 from Nikon/Nikon? Probably not. I think this is probably it. Look, you never know. We could get a surprise announcement late November, early December. I would certainly love to see one. I'd certainly love to see something that wasn't an APSC body. And even if we didn't see an announcement, maybe we could see some sort of development announcement, which is, it's coming, it's just a little bit further off. That'd be cool too. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people out there that are really keen to see something XP7, something Z9-esque. Doesn't have to be exactly the same. Similar, but different. And they're keen to see it ASAP. So even letting us know that it even exists, because we've got no idea, would be great. 2023 is going to be action-packed when it comes to XP7 cameras. It kind of just has to be, because this year has been the, well, Z30 and the ZFC. Moving on from the Stealth Bomber ZFC, we've got the very exciting 600mm lens, which has now arrived in my hands and I've started working with it. You can catch a little bit of vision here of what I've been up to. This lens is a cracker. It's a cracker times 1.4. Yes, indeed, because it's got that 1.4 times teleconverter built in. The DNA of the 400 2.8 1.4 TC was absolutely outstanding, with things like the silky swift motors built in. This lens is cut from exactly the same DNA, but it's a year more modern and it's 600mm and it's a bit more expensive. An amazing, amazing lens, and I will have a full first look / review with images coming ASAP. Also from Nikon, if you hadn't picked up yet, there's a new video grip which I've also started to play with, and more will be coming on that very, very soon. And in Sony news, yes indeed, we've got some firmware updates for a fistful of lenses to update them to allow them to use the 8 stops. Big number. Is it really 8 stops? The 8 stops of image stabilization that you can find in the A7 R5. Now the A7R V is formal. I haven't talked about it since it was formalized. I talked about it when it was still on the rumor mill. It's got the same megapixels as the camera from, I don't know, two and a half years ago, the A7R IV. And probably the single biggest thing they've added is this AIAF, which I'm not sure if it's that different from the AF we have from everybody else. Look, it's probably a bit different. I don't know. We're now trying to, I think, eke out another 1% from hardly 1% that's there at the top. All of these cameras. It doesn't matter. Z9, R3, A1, although maybe the A1's not part of this anymore because the A7R V appears to have, based on what Sony is saying, superior AF technology than the A1. Yeah, that might frustrate some A1 users, mightn't it? That the flagship isn't as good as the non-flagship. Anyway, you've got a firmware update for some lenses to be able to utilize that stabilization. That's pretty epic. 8 stops. I'd love to see it in practice. Can't wait to see it in practice. In Fuji news, yes, the X-T5 is here, and it is a cut down version of the XH2. Not the XH2S, but the XH2. This is 40 megapixels jammed into APS-C. Now, I don't know. I've always said I didn't want 35mm to go beyond about 50 megapixels. Personally, I just think there's got to be compromises at some point that happen there. We can see that Sony haven't gone beyond 61 with the A7R V. So they certainly don't think there's any increases in technology that they're willing to use, willing to put to mass market. They've kept that number the same for the last couple of years. Now, the fact that the Fuji X-T5 is equivalent to something between 80 and 90 megapixels if you were to use the same sensor in a 35mm area, this is a whopping amount of pixels in a very small space. And for some reason, they've made the X-T5 not an 8K camera. Now, I'm not sure why that is the case. It's a 6K camera, whereas the XH2 is an 8K camera. Now, it's probably simply to differentiate between them because they seem to be gunning the same sensor. Maybe they've just got, like, it appears they've got the same processor, but obviously processors can be clocked at different speeds. That allows for different size batteries and different other things. So the X-T5 is more for those who are retro inspired, want that smaller body shape, and don't want 8K, even so the sensor is there that can do it. I would have thought it's a bit frustrating for those people who went, oh, it's going to have the same sensor as the XH2, and then suddenly it doesn't have 8K. I also think the XH2 is super affordable for the fact that it gives you 8K in such a small package. I'm just still a little bit concerned about that pixel density, and I suppose time will tell. I haven't had a good chance to look at it. My testing with my XH2S has shown me, at this stage, with the lenses that I have, and I don't have the very best lenses from Fuji, but I also don't have the very best lenses from other manufacturers as well, and I test those. It just doesn't seem to be resolving, I'm not going to say sharp, but just resolving the way, say, the Z system does, which I think is a very, very sharp, corner to corner, very sharp system. The X-T5 is here, it's well priced, and it's an exciting addition, and I'm sure Fuji users are very excited about it. All right, and Capture One news version 23 is out, and I'm going to do a whole video about it, but it's here, and you can download it right now for those who might have upgraded already. I already upgraded when it was on sale and got it for a great price. Very happy with the price that I got it for, and they might have that sale again. And as a reminder for those who have not heard the news, Capture One now supports high efficiency and high efficiency star, which just makes the Z9 another step useful again, on top of how useful it already is. And might I add, I'm going to have my first year with the Z9 coming soon, and golly gosh, I've got so much to talk about. It just keeps getting better. Also in Canon news, gosh, there's been a lot of big things happening. We have the R6 II. Now, this is pretty big news from my perspective. The R6 is what, hardly 2 years old, maybe just over 2 years old. And we already have another version. I'm not sure anybody thought that the R6, the original version, was lacking. I don't know. Did anyone think that? I didn't think that. And here we have the second version with some tweaks. I've been having some chats behind the scenes with my colleagues, and well, we were a bit surprised to find out that these cameras are not BSI. They are not backside illuminated sensors. They are not stacked sensors. And so what this means is the two kind of potential things that come out of sensors like this. Now the R3 is a stacked sensor, and I will double check whether it's BSI or not, but all their other sensors are not. Now stacked makes your readout faster, so rolling shutter is much more of an issue for all of these non-stacked sensors. What BSI did is it put the photo sights more at the front, allowing the sensors, each photo sight, to capture more light. In real terms, when we first started to hear about this, and I think it was in the D850 from a Nikon perspective, it basically gave us a full extra stop of ISO performance, and it assisted in dynamic range. And we were surprised to find out that the sensor in the R6 II in this day and age is neither backside illuminated or stacked. Anyway, for Canon users, the R6 II is out.
Starting off with the sensor, we have gone from a 20 megapixel sensor to 24.2. ISO ranges stay the same, and the processor in this machine is the same, which is the Digic X. There's been a few minor changes on the body, but I think one of the biggest one, which I don't know for sure where Canon over the years has put their on-off switch, but right now they've moved it to the right-hand side of the camera, and it has often been on the left-hand side of the camera. For people that want to stick with the system, moving on-off switches around, I think, is probably not the best ergonomic move, but ultimately they have made the decision that this is where people want it to be. And I have to say, having your on-off switch near your trigger finger or where your trigger hand is way more useful than having it on the other side of the camera. So this is an important move, and hopefully Canon stick with it. The R6 II also now has the multi-function hot shoe, which I think has its pros and cons. It's fantastic to kind of have this digital interface, but I do think hot shoes, which are at the tops of cameras, just requires more care to make sure that the electronics up there don't get damaged. We also have improved Wi-Fi going out to 802.11 AC. We have improved Bluetooth version 5, and the USB-C port has gone from 5 gigabits per second to 10 gigabits per second. The R6 II jumps from 20 frames per second with the R6 to 40 frames per second in electronic shutter mode. Both cameras run at 12 frames per second in mechanical shutter. The actual buffer is a little bit shallower on the R6 II because of the increased megapixel count. There's also a list of video improvements, which includes now no crop in 4K 60, no crop in 4K 30. We're oversampling from 6K instead of 5K. In Full HD, we've gone from 120 frames per second to 180 frames per second. Both cameras do have 10-bit video as well as log profiles internally. The maximum bit rates have stayed the same, and now with the R6 II, unlike the R6, they have removed the 30-minute clip limit. And depending on overheating, it can be around an hour or more. So pretty useful. Canon has also followed Sony by creating breathing compensation. This is where electronically you zoom the sensor or zoom the image to compensate for the change in frame size when changing focus. This is different to, say, Nikon's strategy, who are trying to make all their lenses optically not breathe or breathe as minimally as possible. Now this feature's fine enough, but as I said, it loses resolution, and right now it only works on 6 or 7 Canon lenses. The R6 II does have quite a large range of little improvements and not so little improvements, and for Canon users and R6 users, well, you know, this might almost be worth an upgrade if you want those faster shutter speeds, doubling it, and if you want the more open-ended video features. Otherwise, from a resolution perspective, 20 to 24 is a very small step, and you will hardly notice the difference. And just as I was wrapping up this video, news dropped that PENTAX have released the new PENTAX KF. This is a DSLR camera which will come in at under $1,000 US. This is the replacement for the PENTAX K70. There's a few minor upgrades, including a 12.5% increase in the LCD resolution, up to 1 million, just over 1 million dots. The weight is 3 grams lighter. And this camera comes with Pentax's SR shake reduction mechanism, which they state is up to 4.5 stops of shutter reduction. Check out the PENTAX KF.
All right, everybody. Well, it's been so good to see you. There's lots going on in the camera world at the moment. Will there be any more? Who knows? It's been so good to see you. Please do let me know in the comments below, are you interested in any of the things we've talked about in this video? Perhaps the new Stealth Bomber ZFC, or maybe you're after an X-T5, or could it be, might it be, the new R6 II? Who knows? It's all good stuff. Let me know in the comments. Okay, I'll see you soon. And if this is your first time here, I'd love to see you again, so please do subscribe, please share, and please like. Don't forget channel memberships. Live, coming soon. Bye for now.